Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Today I thought I would do a process video of day 29 of the 100 days of Bible promises. I will very soon be doing a second flip through, but I just decided that I would do an entry and film that process. And I have a video that has the flip throughs for days 1 through 17. If you'd like to watch that, I will leave that in the e-card up at the top. And today, for this entry, it is titled Be Strong. And so it is talking about how God has commanded us to be strong and courageous, and that whenever we feel any type of weakness, discouragement, or fear, that there is a promise that God gives us is that He will always be with us. And so we can always um, be strong in Him. There's a couple verses here that touch on being strong and courageous. The main one that I am focusing on is where it says, immediately Jesus spoke to them, have courage, it is I, don't be afraid. So automatically I think about the scene in my mind where um, the ocean, they're in the boat and there's a raging storm, and God tells them, Jesus tells them, don't be afraid. So I kind of wanted to do that scene in the background. Now, I don't have a whole lot of supplies like die cuts and a whole bunch of different stamps that would go with this theme. And my love for the artsy stuff, it really is more on the painting side, where I like to use watercolors and paint with acrylics and just do certain scenes like that. um, I get not everybody can either recreate these scenes or want to. So this is a little bit more for, I guess, the people that like painting, or want to try to start learning how to paint in your Bible with acrylic paints. This is a perfect way to practice on this type of journaling or uh, devotional art, so that way you don't get it on your Bible and you have a feel of the paints and what to do and not to do, if you decide to do it in your Bible. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on fast forward, and I'll let you know the process.
Okay, so starting off, I'm making sure I'm using my Bible protector mat, and acrylics don't bleed through. That's not why I'm using it. It's mostly just so that I can paint the edges of the page without the other pages being affected. So I'm grabbing my painter's palette here, and I'm using different shades that are kind of the gloomy shades of my acrylic paints. So it's like black, and then there's like a gray black, and then there's white, and then gray. So doing these type of backgrounds, I've done a couple but not as many, so I'm learning as I'm doing, and I feel that the more I practice, the more I have like a clear I don't know, technique as to how to tackle these landscape or these type of backgrounds that are kind of more on the realistic side. So just like Bob Ross says, there are no accidents, there's everything is happy. So that's kind of my take on starting this, because I did have a lot of mess ups, or not mess ups per se, but just kind of like difficulty knowing what was the right technique to do to achieve a certain look. So you saw me at the beginning using a brush, and I had diluted the black with a little bit of water, and I realized that that wasn't working. So because this certain type of page is really thick, it's not like a watercolor page, and it's not meant to be painted on, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of a very thick type of paper. So I noticed that the moisture that the acrylic does have, it dries up really quickly. So the flow of the paint is not as blendable as if I were painting like in a canvas or in other type of medium that is meant to have paint on it. So I wasn't getting the type of airy feeling that I wanted to achieve, that I've done so in a canvas, but on this page, like I said, because of the material, it was very hard to achieve. So I used a makeup sponge, the ones that you can find at Dollar Tree. It's like I don't know, like 20 of these in a pack, and I got that, and I used that to blend the lighter parts on the inside of this scene, and then I went back again in dabbing motions with the dark black and dark gray to kind of just have that shadowing on the outer edges. And I'm doing that over and over, and the sponge technique was really good for up to a certain point. And then once I wanted to start using lighter colors towards the middle to kind of emphasize when there is lightning, the sky illuminates in certain areas, and that's kind of what I was going for. But with the sponge, it just, you could see the little block sides, and if I flipped it around to the other side, you could still see the where the paint would dry super quick and it wasn't blendable, and so you could see the little squares from where I tried sponging or doing dabbing motions around this page. So basically just finishing off the outer darker colors with the sponge, and then I decided I'll go back to that later. I'm going to go ahead and focus on the water portion. So because this is supposed to be a dark and gloomy storm scene, I had to use the colors that I already had, and if everything is dark, water is going to be dark as well. So I laid down that black gray. So it's not black, it looks black on the video here, but it's the gray black, and to be specific, it is the color Payne's Gray from the Master Touch acrylic paints from Hobby Lobby. And I went ahead and just did that, and then added a little white with some blue and added some waves just to have the faintest, the smallest highlight on the waves. And so now you see me using my finger because I decided that that was probably the best way to blend while trying to, finish this scene here, that was going to be better to be able to use my finger than trying to use a sponge and get squares, because like I said, it was drying way too quick. And even while I was doing this with my fingers, I could feel the paint dry super quick. So I had to work really, really fast and do the dabbing motions super quickly. So now that I've added the lighter parts, it'll make sense why I'm trying to get these light colors on here towards the end of the clip, just because I'm trying to map out where my thunderbolts are going to be coming out. Now, like I said before, when there's lightning, there's like the light illuminates the sky. So there's parts where it stays dark, but then where lightning struck, or there's thunder and lightning, there's light illuminating the sky from those thunder, or not thunder, lightning bolts. And so basically now what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the smallest paintbrush I have, and I am using just white acrylic paint, and I am trying my best to recreate what would be a lightning bolt. So you could totally recreate this scene here. Just if you want to slow this video down, you can totally do so, and you just grab a canvas. I know Dollar Tree sells canvases on the smaller side, but you can practice on those for very inexpensive cost. If you're doing the 100 Days of Bible Promises like I am, you can do it on there and practice. It's paint, so if you feel that you didn't do a good job, you can always either use very heavy white gesso on top of it and start fresh, or you can go ahead and just use white acrylic paint and paint over it. I mean, paint is just one of those things if you mess up, you can pretty much work through it. So I love using acrylic paints, and I am by no means the perfect painter, but I have noticed that the more I paint and the more I practice painting different things that are kind of out of what I think I can do, I get better and better. So normally I've done scenes a couple times, but if I show you a canvas from about 4 to 5 years ago of a scene I did from the beach, and if I show you the work I've done since then, you'll see a huge difference in my painting abilities. So I do believe it's on the practice. The more you practice, the more you're aware of the type of techniques you like and the type of things you need to do to work the paint in your favor. So definitely recommend you practicing it if you have tried to paint with acrylics and you just have had no luck. Practice, 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 practice. It makes definitely all the difference in the world. And if you're afraid to Bible journal using acrylic paints, use it on your devotional or use it on something else. Like I said, it's just a way of you to practice. And once you feel comfortable enough, you can go ahead and transfer whatever image you have painted onto your actual Bible as an entry. So here you see me just trying to finish off these thunderbolts. I think I went a little bit overboard with the veiny lines, but in the picture there was just so many, and you could see like the veiny ripples within the thunderbolt. So I was really trying to make these very faint, but the I guess the paint brush bristles were a little bent, so it would always make a thicker line. So I just decided to not apply as much pressure, and I would get those veiny looking thunderbolts within the lightning. So now I'm pretty much done. Now I'm just figuring out the thickers I will be using to put on this entry. So I went with the title, same as the devotional day, Be Strong, just because I didn't want a larger title to overpower the whole page. And in the middle of the storm, it's just a reminder to be strong. God is with you. And that is a lovely promise.
So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching how I process day 29 of the 100 Days of Bible Promises. I hope that this inspires you to um, do this type of techniques and painting. It's very inexpensive, a couple acrylic paints and your fingers, some makeup sponges from the Dollar Tree, or some very inexpensive paint brushes from Michael's that are like in a pack, and they're very inexpensive as well. So you can do that and practice painting with acrylics on your devotional, so that way you're not worried of the outcome in your Bible and worried about ruining a page or anything like that. So I found that this is a great way to use the devotionals to practice, but also meditate while you're illustrating and painting the theme or what God speaks to you during that devotional. So thanks again for stopping by. I hope that you subscribe to this video. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you again in the next one. Bye bye.